Regulations 2023. Stephen Kinnock.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Hosey, and it's a pleasure to serve under your chairship. The government's plans to use scientific methods in verifying the age of unaccompanied asylum-seeking children have long been in the making, but you wouldn't necessarily know it from the somewhat sketchy evidence around this SI or of the rather flimsy documents published alongside it. The legislative framework for such assessments was set by the Nationality and Borders Act, which has been on the statute books for more than 18 months. And yet the government still has not yet managed to answer some of the most basic questions raised by these proposals. In particular, how much they will cost and what the impact on our health services will be at a time when our NHS is under unprecedented strain. These are questions that any reasonable member would expect the government to address in its impact assessment, but no such assessment has been provided. On the basis that, in the government's words, the policy and design are still under development. I note that the explanatory memorandum commits to preparing a full impact assessment as implementation of the policy moves forward. If the Minister could commit to timely publication of such an assessment in the course of his response to me this afternoon, I'm sure that members on all sides of the House would be very grateful for that. It's also unclear to me, as it was to the Secondary Legislation Scrutiny Committee, why the government should feel the need to move forward with legislation which is still in the process of being developed. And we'd be very grateful, I think, if the Minister could shed some light on the question that was posed there by the Secondary Legislation Scrutiny Committee. We also find the House of Lords Committee expressing palpable frustration at the repeated running up against a brick wall of any reasonable requests to ministers for basic information. In this case, about the extent of any further consultation between ministers and experts from the medical and wider scientific communities beyond the members of the government's hand-picked Age Estimation Science Advisory Committee, which the Minister has referred to. So more importantly, what specific feedback ministers have received from experts beyond the membership of that committee in the course of any consultations that have taken place beyond the membership of that committee. These questions really matter because there is clearly no evidence of consensus among experts in support of the government's plans. Far from it, in fact. Just looking at a report in a recent edition of The New Scientist, it's clear that a widely shared view among experts is that what the government describes as scientific age verification is based largely on what they describe as pseudoscience. Based on their public statements, a range of expert bodies representing such diverse fields as social work, paediatrics, dentistry and radiology also seem to be proactively urging their members to play no part in such practices. So my final question to the Minister is, what thought has the government given regarding how it might be able to implement the measures that he's set forward today if professionals in the sector are not actually willing to operationalise them? My question specifically then is, does the government have a plan B in the case where the key practitioners are not prepared to operationalise the measures that are set out today? I will give way.
I thank my honourable friend for giving way, and he raises some important questions, as I think others have, and he will know the concerns that we raised at the Bill Committee. Now, clearly we're in a situation where actually implementation of this is going to fall to a future Labour government. And so I wonder if he'd confirm that if it's our experience in government that this doesn't add value and isn't assisting the process, we will review and scrap it.
I thank my honourable friend for that intervention. We will certainly keep these measures under review, as would be the duty of any sensible government. Policy making should be based on evidence and on facts and on the law, and we on these benches remain absolutely committed to those basic principles. So certainly we would keep these measures under review, and if our review concludes that they are working, that they are effective, that they are accurate, then we would look to keep them in place. But if such a review were to conclude that they were not, that they were counterproductive, ineffective or damaging and particularly around issues around safeguarding, etc., then of course we believe in evidence-based policy, and I think that's a very important principle for any government to pursue. So with that, with my response to my honourable friend, I conclude my remarks. I thank the Minister for his attention and look forward to his response.
Christine.
Thank you, Mr. Horsey. It's a pleasure.